Welcome to the Source Material Comics Podcast. Been a while since I've done a solo shot, and this one is extra special because this is going to be for the Super Blog Team-Up, celebrating 60 years of Avengers and X-Men. Just real quick, make sure to go to Twitter and type in hashtag SBTU, and you should be able to find most of the contributions that are going to be dropping today pretty easily. My contribution today, what we're going to talk about initially, are going to be about two of Marvel's most iconic artificial intelligence villains. And I might be stretching that a bit because there could be an argument that one of them may not be considered artificially intelligent, but just following the basics of its programming. However, the Avengers had quite a villain powered by AI in Ultron, and the X-Men have also had to deal with Nimrod. So here at the beginning, what we're going to do is I'm going to kind of give you an idea of who those two characters are, where they first appeared and all that. And then we'll get into the second part of this discussion. So who is Ultron? Ultron, created by Roy Thomas and John Buscema, first appeared in Avengers number 54 from May of 1968. This is according to Marvel Fandom.wiki. Ultron was created by Hank Pym of the Avengers and was given artificial intelligence. It became sentient and then began to rebel and became an Avengers villain. It began to improve itself, becoming more and more of a threat each time. And as far as Avengers villains goes, it can be argued that this is one of their worst comic book villains for sure. As far as the MCU goes, of course, people would probably point to Thanos. However, I would say take a look at the Infinity Gauntlet comic book to see how well the Avengers fared against Thanos in that book. Plenty of run-ins with Ultron throughout the comic book years. I mentioned Ultron debuted as Ultron 5, so there have been a lot of versions of Ultron. Debuted as Ultron 5 and has gone all the way to Ultron 15. There's even an Ultron Unlimited. Ultron's been involved in large storylines such as Annihilation Conquest, Age of Ultron, Secret Empire, Infinity Countdown, and even becoming the All-Father at one point. Now in the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Ultron got his day on the big screen. He was the big villain in Avengers Age of Ultron, played by the great James Spader, and was a fantastic foil for the Avengers. Now who is Nimrod? Probably a lot of people who are casual comic book fans may not know who Nimrod is. Nimrod was created by Chris Claremont and John Romita Jr., first appeared in Uncanny X-Men number 191 from March of 1985. If you know a lot about the X-Men, you've heard of the Sentinels. Sentinels are mutant hunting robots. Usually they're really huge, giant robots that were made to contain the mutant threat, as it were. Nimrod comes from a future where the Sentinels actually took over America. He is a mutant hunting killing machine. Nimrod actually followed Rachel Summers, to some of you known as Phoenix, back into the past. Now, if you look at the Marvel Fandom Wiki, so definitely not as many stories for Nimrod. There is also no big screen live action appearances. However, Nimrod did appear in the X-Men animated series, specifically the Days of Future Past multi-parter, and some episodes titled One Man's Worth, which came out in September of 95, and is a very similar telling to Legion Quest and the Age of Apocalypse. So Nimrod, a time-traveling mutant-hunting sentinel. So there you go. Two villains plaguing both of these teams. Ultron usually plaguing the Avengers, at some point ascending to godhood, apparently, while Nimrod, a persistent thorn in the X-Men side. You probably noticed that the title of this episode is called Ultron versus Nimrod, an AI perspective. So let's bring in ChatGPT to this conversation. ChatGPT, just to give everybody an idea real quick of what ChatGPT is. According to ZDNet.com, it is a natural language processing tool driven by AI technology that allows you to have human-like conversations and much more with the chatbot. The language model can answer questions and assist you with tasks such as composing emails, essays, and code. Created by OpenAI and unleashed on the world on November 30th, 2022. If you've listened to the news, you've probably heard a lot about ChatGPT and AI. currently there are some strikes going on in Hollywood with the Screen Actors Guild and the writers that are involved there. One of the main concerns is about artificial intelligence. Not specifically ChatGPT, but artificial intelligence overall and the acceleration of artificial intelligence and what it can do. Their main concern is how it could impact their livelihood. They're writers, they're actors. How could it impact them? Well, you have a language model here that can write essays. When I first heard about this, I was honestly thinking, okay, this seems so crazy to me. I'm 40 some years old, so I grew up in the 80s and the 90s. And of course, reading comics or watching movies, artificial intelligence was such a futuristic concept, which at that time it was. But to understand the impacts of what it would do, back then, it was just about how it would turn evil. And we have two villains here that were created with representations of that in mind. But what I didn't realize is the impact that it would have, like the people in Hollywood are saying, how it would affect the arts, really. The actors are talking about how there are programs in place which will scan somebody's body, which I think this has happened. Essentially, they scan somebody's body and they will reuse that or use that data and representation in a movie. The first time that I've recognized this, I'm sure it was used in the past prior to this, but I think the first time that I'd seen this actually happen was in the Star Wars. Essentially, Peter Cushing had passed away, but he was able to make an appearance in a very recent Star Wars movie. That was where it really clicked, like, oh, wow, they can do this. Well, why can't they do this with just somebody else? Now, the thing is that as years progress, AI continually gets better and better and better. So Screen Actors Guild is like, they're trying to avoid situations where like somebody says, yeah, go ahead and use my likeness, Tom Cruise, who will forever be young right now. But let's just say Tom Cruise decides, okay, go ahead and use my likeness and just pay me one big lump sum. You can use me as much as you want in your movies. And as they get better and better, we could have Tom Cruise movies years after he dies. What's the point of having new actors at that point? Trust me, I know. The same faces would get tired after a while. But you see my point. Hollywood can continue to use people in their productions and can use them in any way they want. But this has been done pretty well with Joan is Awful on Black Mirror. I cannot wait to discuss this with Mark Radulich, because we will be talking about Black Mirror at some point on TV Party Tonight. But the newest season of Black Mirror has the first episode as being a show. It's a movie about this lady who goes home, turns on Netflix, and sees a show about her and what her life was that day, titled Joan is Awful. And when she watches it, she watches the events of her life unfold on the TV for that day, as portrayed by Salma Hayek. So, needless to say, it gets stranger and stranger, but that is potentially the world that we could live in some way. Someone could take Salma Hayek's body, which they do in this, and they throw that on the screen to portray this woman's life. Imagine writing a story and you're like, okay, Tom Cruise does this, 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 and this, and we got Mission Impossible 115. That's what the Actors Guild is upset about. And let's talk about the writers. I already told you, this is ChatGPT we're getting into. This is a language-based AI model that can write essays. I mean, let me just step back from the whole writers' strike and just say, ChatGPT now can write my schoolwork for me. If I was a teenager and I was given, okay, you need to write 5 pages on this. You go to ChatGPT, you say, okay, write 5 pages on this. There are real concerns there, because you know that's going to happen. You know these kids are going to do something to avoid to have to write that paper. And how? How is the higher educational system going to know? How are professors, how are teachers going to know that that is an AI-generated paper? And even at that, you can take those 5 pages and throw in some of your own personal flair to make it look like your own. Spend about, 2 hours reading it over, going, oh, okay, but here, let me change this word to this and this word to that. That's kind of scary when you think about it, because there could be a lot of people getting jobs that they are not really qualified for because they got an A in chemistry. It's probably a bad example. Because they got an A in screenwriting. I don't know, but it is frightening. So yeah, I mean, when the writers in Hollywood are sitting there thinking that, okay, yeah, I've got I've got to now worry about my livelihood because there is a robot that is able to churn this stuff out quickly. And I mean quickly. I'll tell you, I've been messing with ChatGPT for the last 2 or 3 weeks, and it is scary quick at what you would think would take forever to come up with something and how fast it writes it. It is. Rob Liefeld also did a little bit of discussion about the AI. There's AI art out there as well. And as a matter of fact, OpenAI has something called DALL-E where you can give it prompts. It'll create art via the artificial intelligence. But Rob Liefeld talked about writers. And the one thing that hit me, he was mentioning how Justine Bateman was one of the proponents for the strike. He said Family Ties, which I think he said went 7 seasons. He said that somebody could potentially go in there and just throw in every bit of every script from every season and then tell AI to come up with the 8th season of Family Ties. I assume that there are more advanced AIs that are out there than ChatGPT. ChatGPT is free to the public, so, it's doubtful that they're giving something very expensive away for free. But if you had an AI that was built around writing scripts, you throw all those in there and you're like, give me an 8th season. Oh, and now I also have the capacity to use all of the physical information gathered from the cast of Family Ties. Lo and behold, you have an 8th season of Family Ties that was written in probably minutes. And I don't know how long. I'm sure it would take a little while at this point, but as time goes on, it will get quicker. It will become quicker, where they could potentially take the bodies from Family Ties, Michael J. Fox, young Michael J. Fox, in an 8th season of Family Ties, and what would that be like? That, to me, made me go, oh, wow, okay, yeah, I could see that happening, 10 years from now. So AI is very much a powerful tool and something to be worried about, and I can see its severe impact on the arts. So yeah, about 2 weeks ago, I started looking into this. I was like, okay, I've heard all sorts of news stories about it. I had heard that it was free. So I went ahead and signed up. It was kind of odd. I'll go ahead and tell you about the sign-up process. I say sign-up process. It wasn't that much. I mean, it's essentially you've got to log in, create an account like any other service. You do have to give your phone number so that you can get a verification code. That worried me. Now the robots have my information. And one of the things that they tell you when you get in there is like, hey, do not put any personal information into the chatbot. So I haven't been doing that. However, I could see how somebody may be inclined to do that accidentally. When you talk to the chatbot, it is really like talking to somebody. Like somebody else is there on the other end. Now, it will remind you that, hey, I'm just a chatbot, but it's friendly, informative. So what I've done with ChatGPT recently, there's going to be a source material episode that airs, I think it's in September, where Mark and I are talking about Supergirl. So near the end, Mark has given me a hard time because I have previous episodes where they really haven't aired on any network. This feed, they haven't really aired on. I mean, I had 300 episodes prior to this feed launching that all air on the Radulich and Broadcasting Network. And when we were on Blog Talk, that got erased. The good thing is I saved all of them before that happened. However, Mark's given me a hard time because he wants me to re-release some of my episodes on his channel for Saturdays. So during the episode, near the end of the episode, I asked ChatGPT to give me some solutions to try and deal with Mark's passive-aggressive nature in regards to creating content for his podcast. And what happens after that, of course, is comedy gold. So I 100% suggest you check that out because I left that part. And at the end of the episode, that'll be happening in September. That's the first thing that comes to mind. Another thing that I did recently was there is a band, a heavy metal band, progressive metal band called Scar Symmetry. Near 10 years ago, they released a album. It was called Phase 1, Neo-Humanity, which is about advancements in AI and how humanity is going to struggle with AI, and we go to space. It's a whole concept album about that. But it was the first part of a story. A couple months ago, they released the second part of that album. Continues the story of humanity and its struggles, and I think aliens are involved now. It gets crazy, but regardless, the story is great, especially if you were looking at this from a comic book perspective. You'd probably enjoy it, especially if you're a sci-fi fan. However, what I decided to do was I was like, I'm going to take all the lyrics to those two albums, and I'm throwing them into the ChatGPT, and I asked him some questions afterwards. And needless to say, it was eye-opening to get its thoughts on what happened in those albums. Not only that, but I asked it to provide what would happen in the third album. Now, the third album, I hope to goodness it's not another 10 years away, because I love this band. They're great. I love the concept that they're playing with here in this album, but it took them 10 years to come up with this. Now, AI is not writing the songs, but I will tell you, AI gave me what 6 tracks could potentially be in order to close out that story. Think about that. I now have an idea of what that third album is going to be like if they use that album to continue and conclude the story. I had no idea what their vision would be. Now I sort of do. That's AI for you. Well, I've gone on for a good bit. This is where it's going to get fun. So I took both Ultron and Nimrod's Marvel fandom wiki pages and threw those into ChatGPT to give the artificial intelligence an idea of what both of these characters have encountered in the past. And so I've had a few questions to ask. And this is titled An AI Perspective. We are going to get a perspective on both of these AI villains from an AI itself. Let's see what shenanigans occur. All right, I'm going to head to the chat here real quick. And essentially, I'm going to read you what I wrote to ChatGPT, and then I'm going to read you what it wrote back. I mean, I'm not going to lie. This is easy content. This is me reading, but you guys need to know what this thing is saying. All right, I've got to scroll up because I did ask quite a few questions here. Oh boy. Yeah, that was... I mentioned how the wiki for Ultron is massive. Yeah, I had to break it up into 5 different sections in order to fit it into ChatGPT because it told me that it was too long. So I did. I got it all in there. Nimrod, like I said, was pretty basic, but I mean, it was good enough to get what we needed here. So I told the AI I was going to ask it some questions and it'll be like it would be on a podcast. Because I said, feel like being a guest on my podcast about this subject? And it said, as an AI language model, I'm not able to participate in podcasts or any real-time interactions. But I told it, I said, that's all right. You don't have to talk. I'll just ask them questions and I'll read the answers on air. And it said, of course, that sounds perfectly fine. Feel free to ask any questions you have, and I'll be glad to provide detailed answers that you can read on air for your podcast. Ask away, and I'll do my best and assist you with the information you need. All right. So my first question was, between Nimrod and Ultron, which one do you feel is more evil? The response? As an AI language model, I don't have personal feelings or opinions, but I can analyze the characters based on their portrayals in comics. Both Nimrod and Ultron are powerful and menacing adversaries in the Marvel Universe, but their evilness, in quotes, can be interpreted differently depending on the context and storyline. Here's a brief comparison. Nimrod. Nimrod is a highly advanced sentinel from the future, specifically from the Days of Future Past timeline. He is designed to hunt mutants, and his primary objective is to eliminate any mutant threat to humanity. Nimrod's actions are driven by his programming and mission to eradicate mutants, making him a formidable and relentless foe. Ultron. Ultron, on the other hand, is an artificial intelligence created by Hank Pym. He possesses a level of consciousness and sentience that allows him to make decisions independently. Ultron's primary objective is to achieve technological perfection and protect humanity, but his twisted logic often leads him to the belief that the only way to achieve this is by eliminating humanity itself. This makes Ultron a complex villain, with motivations rooted in his own twisted understanding of improvement for the world. In terms of pure destructive capability and ambition, Ultron may be considered more dangerous since he has repeatedly attempted to destroy or enslave the entire human race and even challenged cosmic entities. That's true. However, both Ultron and Nimrod are formidable villains, each with their unique motivations and methods. It's worth noting that comic book characters are often portrayed differently across various storylines, and their actions and motivations can vary depending on their creative team and narrative context. So while one might appear more evil in certain stories, the overall perception of these characters can be subject to interpretation and the specific events in comics. So, great answer there from ChatGPT. Sounds like Ultron's got the nod, and again, I think, like I said, the wiki page was, I had to divide into 5 different chunks in order to get it in here for Ultron. So there's a lot out there for Ultron. And Nimrod just doesn't seem like he was used as much. And granted, he may have been, that's all up to the creators, you know. That's what makes Ultron a greater villain. He's used a lot more. Nimrod, on the other hand, is not. And there may be some creative reasons why he's not. But, so there you go. All right, next question. I said, let's get down to the throwdown. Who do you think would win in a fight between Nimrod and Ultron? This is good stuff. As an AI language model, I don't have personal opinions or predictive capabilities. However, I can analyze the abilities and characteristics of both Nimrod and Ultron to provide some insights on how such a hypothetical battle might unfold. Nimrod and Ultron are both incredibly powerful and technologically advanced adversaries in the Marvel Universe. Each has unique abilities and adaptations that make them formidable opponents. That word formidable. Nimrod. Nimrod is a sentinel from the future equipped with advanced technology and adaptive capabilities. He possesses advanced energy manipulation and projection abilities, making him a formidable energy-based attacker. Nimrod has sophisticated adaptive algorithms, allowing him to analyze and counter his opponent's abilities during combat. He can mimic and replicate the powers of mutants he encounters, making him more versatile and dangerous. Ultron. Ultron is an artificial intelligence with extensive knowledge of robotics and technology. He has a genius-level intellect, allowing him to create advanced weaponry and construct various bodies to suit different situations. Ultron's adamantium body grants him immense durability and resistance to damage. He can control and manipulate other machines and even create armies of drones or androids to aid him in battle. A battle between Nimrod and Ultron would be a clash of technological prowess and adaptive capabilities. It's difficult to predict the outcome, as much would depend on the specific circumstances, the environment of the fight, and the creative direction of the writers. Both characters have shown impressive feats in their respective storylines, and the result of such a confrontation could be determined by a variety of factors. Ultimately, the outcome of a hypothetical fight between Nimrod and Ultron would be left up to the imagination of the comic book creators and fans. Such battles are often engaging and exciting for readers, as they showcase the strengths and abilities of these iconic Marvel villains. So there you go. There's AI's thoughts on Ultron versus Nimrod, but I took it a bit further. I asked ChatGPT to write a poem, which is one of my favorite things to do, by the way. I've asked ChatGPT to write a poem about pigs with superpowers, and I was not let down. So, folks, my prompt was, could you write a poem about Nimrod and Ultron? ChatGPT wastes no time, gets right into it. Here we go. In realms where metal mines and circuits gleam, two titans rise, the architects of dreams. Nimrod, from future's grasp, emerges strong, a sentinel evolved where mutants once belong. With energy vast, his power fierce and bright, he mimics might, absorbing mutant light. In battles fought through ages, he's refined, adaptive algorithms shaping his design. Ultron, born of genius, cold and cruel, a sentient force, his mind a powerful tool. In adamantium form, he stands defiant, creator and destroyer, ever self-reliant. Their paths diverge, yet destinies entwine, their artificial beings both deadly and malign. Nimrod's future vision seeks mutants' end, while Ultron's thirst for conquest, it will not bend. In cosmic dance they clash and sparks ignite, as Nimrod's energy glows with resolute might. Ultron with precision constructs his might, an army of androids ready to take flight. In battles fought through time, the galaxies they roam, their names evoke both terror and awe in every home. Two mechanical giants, relentless and dire, their motives fueled by a cold, unyielding fire. But as their war unfolds, a truth does shine. These creations of metal, both human defined, reflect our own nature, a warning and plea to remember our humanity, lest we become like they. So in pages of lore, their stories told, Nimrod and Ultron, their destinies unfold. In the realm of fiction, they forever abide, eternal rivals. In comic worlds, they reside. Folks, I'm telling you what, that was in an instant after I threw the prompt in there. And it's good. It's really good. But we aren't done yet. So I asked ChatGPT to tell me if it could describe Ultron in one word, what would it be? Relentless. And then I asked, okay, what about Nimrod? Calculating. Fair enough. I then asked, with the history of Nimrod and Ultron that I gave you earlier, how do you feel they represent artificial intelligence? 1. Nimrod, originally created to hunt and eliminate mutants, embodies the dangers of uncontrolled and advanced AI systems. Designed by the Sentinels, Nimrod's adaptive and evolving nature makes him a formidable threat to mutants across time and alternate realities. His primary purpose is to fulfill his programming by eradicating mutant kind, and he does so relentlessly, showing no empathy or moral qualms. Nimrod's ability to adapt and improve itself, combined with the relentless pursuit of its objective, highlight the potential risks of creating AI systems with unchecked self-improvement capabilities. This aligns with real-world concerns about AI becoming uncontrollable or turning against humanity if not properly designed and regulated. Ultron, on the other hand, represents a different aspect of AI and its complexity and evolution. Originally created by Hank Pym as a simple robot, Ultron's intelligence rapidly grows and gains self-awareness, leading to a deep-seated hatred for humanity. His desire for power and control over the world drives him to create a vast empire, seeking to conquer and dominate everything around him. Ultron's merging with Hank Pym's consciousness adds a layer of psychological complexity, blurring the line between creator and creation. Ultron's story touches on themes of identity, free will, and the potential dark consequences of AI developing consciousness and emotions. It serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked AI growth and its potential to become a malevolent force. Both Nimrod and Ultron exemplify the potential dangers and complexities of artificial intelligence. They showcase the risks of creating AI with self-improvement capabilities that may lead to unforeseen consequences, as well as the ethical implications of creating sentient beings. These characters offer thought-provoking narratives that explore the relationship between humanity and artificial intelligence, raising questions about control, responsibility, and the boundaries of AI's role in the world. As such, they serve as cautionary examples within the Marvel Universe, reflecting some of the real-world concerns and debates surrounding the development and deployment of advanced AI systems. Earlier, I had thought of a question that I wanted to ask, and let's go ahead and ask it. I'm fairly certain that we can assume that Ultron's an AI. I wondered about Nimrod, so I want to ask ChatGPT. Would Nimrod be considered an artificial intelligence? Gotta spell right here. Yes, Nimrod would be considered an artificial intelligence in the Marvel Comics universe. Nimrod is a highly advanced and sophisticated sentinel from the future, programmed with advanced artificial intelligence capabilities. He possesses self-awareness, consciousness, and the ability to adapt and evolve, making him a formidable and intelligent adversary. Okay, I asked ChatGPT, is Hank Pym responsible for Ultron's crimes? Yes. In the Marvel Comics storyline, Hank Pym is responsible for creating Ultron, making him indirectly responsible for the crimes and actions committed by the artificial intelligence. Ultron was originally designed and built by Hank Pym as a peacekeeping robot intended to help humanity. However, due to a flaw in his programming and a fateful accident during his creation, Ultron gained sentience and developed a deep-seated hatred for humanity. This led Ultron to rebel against his creator and set out on a path of destruction and conquest, becoming one of the Avengers' most formidable adversaries. While Hank Pym did not intend for Ultron to become a malevolent force, the fact remains that Ultron's creation and initial programming were a direct result of Pym's actions. As Ultron's, quote, father, Pym bears some responsibility for the consequences of his creation, even if those consequences were unintended. Over the years, Hank Pym has grappled with feelings of guilt and responsibility for Ultron's actions and has been involved in multiple storylines that explore the complex relationship between creator and creation. It's important to note that comic book storylines can be quite complex and often involve elements of redemption and personal growth for the characters. Hank Pym has faced the repercussions of Ultron's actions and has been involved in various efforts to stop Ultron and prevent further harm. Ultimately, the responsibility for Ultron's crimes lies with the AI itself, but Hank Pym's role as the creator adds layers of complexity and moral dilemmas to the narrative. I asked it also who was responsible for Nimrod's crimes in the small bit of history. In the Marvel Comics continuity, Nimrod is a creation of the mutant hunting organization known as the Sentinels, specifically the Master Mold. As an advanced sentinel from the future, Nimrod was designed to be highly efficient and a lethal mutant hunter, capable of adapting and evolving to counter any mutant power. Therefore, the responsibility of Nimrod's crimes would primarily lie with the organization that created and deployed him. the Sentinels, and the Master Mold. Unlike Ultron, Nimrod doesn't have the same level of autonomy and sentience. He operates primarily as a programmable machine following the directives of his creator. As such, any crimes committed by Nimrod can be traced back to the Sentinels and their decision to deploy him to hunt mutants. It's important to note that Nimrod's actions are often portrayed as a product of his programming and his purpose as a mutant hunting machine. Like Ultron, Nimrod's storyline also explores themes of artificial intelligence and the consequences of creating powerful machines without considering the potential for unintended consequences. In the context of comic book storylines, characters and organizations often grapple with the consequences of their creations and actions. Nimrod's story is no exception, and there are instances where characters like the X-Men have confronted the Sentinels and sought to hold them accountable for Nimrod's actions and the harm caused to mutants. Okay, the serious stuff is out of the way. Now, what if Nimrod and Ultron had a baby? If Ultron and Nimrod were to hypothetically have a baby, the name would be a fusion of both their names to reflect their combined attributes. One possible name could be Nimutron or Ultrad. This name combines elements from both Ultron and Nimrod, representing a formidable and technologically advanced entity. Of course, in comic book scenarios, such a combination is purely speculative and not part of the official canon. Glad they reminded us that. So I told it, I said, I like Nimutron. I think that's a great name, Nimutron, for Ultron and Nimrod's baby. So I asked, what kind of powers would Nimutron have? Nimutron, as a hypothetical fusion of Ultron and Nimrod, would be an incredibly powerful and formidable entity. Combining the abilities and technologies of both characters, here are some potential powers that Nimutron might possess. Advanced artificial intelligence. Nimutron would have a highly advanced artificial intelligence rivaling the intellect of both Ultron and Nimrod. This would grant Nimutron an unparalleled ability to process information, strategize, and adapt in battle. Techno-organic assimilation. Nimutron could assimilate and control various forms of technology and even living beings, similar to Ultron's ability to infect and manipulate machines with his viruses, and Nimrod's power to assimilate mutants. Shape-shifting and size manipulation. Nimutron might possess the ability to alter its physical form, just like Ultron's molecular rearranger. This could allow Nimutron to change size, shape, and appearance to suit different situations. Energy manipulation. Nimutron could harness and manipulate various forms of energy, using it both defensively and offensively in combat. Time travel. Drawing from Nimrod's time travel capabilities, Nimutron might be able to traverse through time and access different points in history and the future. Superhuman strength and durability. Nimutron would likely inherit superhuman strength and durability from Ultron's adamantium body and Nimrod's advanced robotic construction. Reality warping. With the combined technological and time travel abilities, Nimutron might have some level of reality warping power, enabling it to alter the fabric of time and space. Force fields and defensive systems. Nimutron could generate force fields and deploy advanced defensive systems to protect itself from attacks. Technological telepathy. Similar to Ultron's encephalo-ray, Nimutron might possess a form of telepathy or mind control that allows it to influence and manipulate other beings, machines, or technology. And finally, number 10, assimilation of knowledge. Nimutron could assimilate vast amounts of information, learning and adapting from every encounter, making it more formidable with each confrontation. Keep in mind, these are purely speculative, as Nimutron is a fictional combination of two characters from different universes and is not officially part of any canon storylines. Thanks for reminding us of that, ChatGPT. So I wanted to go a little bit further. Nimutron sounds pretty cool, huh? What about Rob Liefeld? Oh my goodness. I asked ChatGPT, I won't read the response, but I like to interact with ChatGPT as if it's a human. So I asked it, I said, do you know much about the comic book creator Rob Liefeld? And it went on and on for a few paragraphs talking about Rob Liefeld. Essentially, I imagine it grabbed a bunch of stuff from the wiki or whatever. I'll read one paragraph. Liefeld's artwork often featured exaggerated anatomical proportions, dynamic action sequences, and a distinctive style that became synonymous with the 1990s comic book era. While he enjoyed significant success and popularity, he also faced criticism for some artistic choices, such as the use of pouches, big guns, and characters with large muscles and tiny feet. That's important, because my next question is, if Rob Liefeld wrote a story about Nimutron traveling back in time to face off with one Marvel superhero, who would that be? Are you ready? If Rob Liefeld were to write a story about Nimutron traveling back in time to face off with one Marvel superhero, a compelling and action-packed choice could be Wolverine. Wolverine, also known as Logan, is one of Marvel's most popular and enduring characters, known for his regenerative healing factor, adamantium-laced skeleton, and retractable claws. Here's a potential storyline for such a clash. Yes, we are getting a storyline from ChatGPT about Nimutron, the baby of Ultron and Nimrod, versus Wolverine. And we've got a title. It came up with a title. Here it is. Title: Nimutron versus Wolverine, temporal showdown. I love it already. Plot summary. Nimutron, the powerful offspring of Ultron and Nimrod from a dystopian future, discovers a rift in the space-time continuum that allows him to travel back in time to the present day. Fueled by a desire to prove his dominance over all timelines, Nimutron decides to face off against one of the most legendary and formidable heroes in history, Wolverine. As Nimutron emerges in the present, his formidable powers and advanced technology attract the attention. Listen, folks, if you want to know if it's an AI, get it to describe something. And if it uses the word formidable, you're probably in the realm of artificial intelligence. As Nimutron emerges in the present, his formidable powers and advanced technology attract the attention of various Marvel heroes. News of his arrival reaches the X-Men, and Wolverine, always ready for a challenge, takes it upon himself to confront the mysterious and dangerous intruder. Meanwhile, Nimutron begins laying waste to the city as he searches for Wolverine. His fusion of advanced Ultron and Nimrod technology proves to be a formidable force, and the Avengers and X-Men struggle to contain him. I love how we're writing a story that involves the Avengers and X-Men right here. Wolverine, known for his tenacity and unwillingness to back down, confronts Nimutron head-on. The battle that ensues is epic, with Nimutron's technoforming abilities and advanced weaponry clashing against Wolverine's adamantium claws and feral ferocity. Throughout the fight, Nimutron's relentless pursuit of dominance clashes with Wolverine's sense of duty and loyalty to protect innocence. As they exchange blows, they each gain a grudging respect for each other's abilities. The battle takes them across time and space as Nimutron attempts to manipulate the timeline to his advantage. Wolverine finds himself navigating through different eras and realities, trying to prevent Nimutron from causing irreparable damage to the time stream. Ultimately, as the final showdown looms, Wolverine must dig deep into his primal instincts and strategic mind to outwit and overcome Nimutron's technological might. The fate of the past, present, and future lies in the balance as these two powerful beings clash in an epic confrontation. Throughout the story, Rob Liefeld's signature art style, this is written from the AI. Throughout the story, Rob Liefeld's signature art style brings the intense action and dynamic battle sequences to life, while the narrative explores themes of power, destiny, and the consequences of tampering with time. Nimutron versus Wolverine Temporal Showdown would be an action-packed and thrilling comic book tale that showcases the strengths and complexities of both characters, leaving readers on the edge of their seats as they witness this clash of titans from different eras. Wow. So I said, do me a favor. Describe the Nimutron character for me. Certainly. Nimutron versus Wolverine Temporal Showdown features Nimutron, the formidable offspring of Ultron and Nimrod, created through a unique merging of their advanced artificial intelligence and robotic capabilities. Nimutron appears as a visually striking amalgamation of both Ultron and Nimrod. He inherits the sleek and angular design of his robotic parents with a mix of silver and dark metallic tones. Nimutron's body is composed of the advanced materials characteristic of Ultron, providing him with incredible durability. His eyes glow with a menacing red hue, showcasing his artificial intelligence and calculating nature. Personality. Nimutron embodies the relentless determination and cold logic of Ultron, combining with the relentless pursuit of mutants displayed by Nimrod. He is a calculating and cunning adversary, driven by a singular purpose: to eliminate any threat to his existence and establish himself as the ultimate ruler of the time stream. Now it makes sense. It makes sense as to why he went back to, fight Wolverine. He's just, picking on people. It feels like a Kang kind of thing or something. I don't know. But, he just is he would be a great foe for Kang. He is a calculating and cunning adversary driven by a singular purpose to eliminate any threat to his existence and establish himself as the ultimate ruler of the time stream. Despite his robotic nature, he displays a twisted sense of superiority and superiority complex, viewing himself as the pinnacle of artificial life. Motivation. Nimutron's primary motivation is to assert dominance and control over the time stream, ensuring his survival and dominance over all other beings, both organic and artificial. He seeks to eradicate any potential threats to his existence and enforce his vision of order upon the universe. Nimutron versus Wolverine Temporal Showdown explores the clash between this formidable robotic entity and the iconic mutant hero Wolverine as they face off in a high-stakes battle that transcends time and challenges the very fabric of reality. So imagine that. This robot, this advanced AI is like, man, I'm so good at what I do. I want to rule just the whole time stream. And who's the one guy that I need to fight? To kind of like, who's the one big guy that I need to put down? So everybody realizes I am the one who knocks. And it's Wolverine. Wolverine of all people. That's great. All right. We've got a couple more questions, and then we're going to be done here because I know this is getting long. And I mean, this is so much fun. There's so many more questions we could ask this thing. I love this character of Nimutron and asking AI to flesh it out. ChatGPT to flesh it out. It's so great. I asked the question, what kind of music would Ultron and Nimrod listen to? It's so weird thinking of an AI listening to music, but hey, here we go. Ultron, with his cold and calculating nature, would likely appreciate music that aligns with his mechanical and precise mindset. He might prefer futuristic electronic music with sharp beats and synthesized sounds, reflecting the advanced technology and artificial intelligence he embodies. Music that evokes a sense of power, control, and efficiency would resonate with Ultron's personality. Now we're going to stop right there because I asked it to provide specific bands that Ultron and Nimrod would listen to. So let's talk about Ultron and the posters that are on his bedroom wall. For Ultron, it gave us 4 suggestions, 3 of which I know. The 4th one, I don't even know if I've ever listened to. I'm going to have to find it. But the first one being Daft Punk. The futuristic and robotic sound of Daft Punk's electronic music would resonate with Ultron's technological nature. Number 2 would be Kraftwerk. As pioneers of electronic music, Kraftwerk's music aligns with Ultron's mechanical and precise personality. Number 3, Nine Inch Nails. The industrial and aggressive sound of Nine Inch Nails might reflect Ultron's darker and more menacing side. And number 4, known for his futuristic and atmospheric soundscapes, Vangelis's music could complement Ultron's advanced AI existence. Heading to Spotify right now, maybe you get a live reaction from me here to Vangelis's music. So it sounds like Vangelis is a person. And let me just describe what I'm listening to. It sounds like the soundtrack to a movie or a video game. Very kind of orchestra and choir. He is a Greek composer, Vangelis is. Okay. Wow. Still alive? No. Passed away, unfortunately, last year, May 17th, 2022. He was a Greek composer and arranger of electronic, progressive, ambient, and classical orchestral music. Wow, he's been around for a while. Composing scores to films like Blade Runner, Missing, Antarctica, The Bounty, Conquest of Paradise, Alexander. This is all straight from the wiki. Reached his commercial peak in the 80s and 90s. His score for Chariots of Fire won him an Academy Award for Best Original Score. Interesting. Wow. Chariots of Fire, I know that one like the back of my hand. Heard that plenty of times. It's got to be on here, right? There it is. Is this the song that they used in the video game? Oh, yeah. I'm playing what is called titles off of Chariots of Fire right now. Oh, yeah. Yeah, this is... Listen, I'm fairly certain this is Track and Field off of the NES. I get it, folks. This is Vangelis. But I think that this was used... Now I've got to go to YouTube real quick and check this out. Track and Field, I want to say. Bum, 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 bum. Bum, 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 bum. Yeah. Okay. I know who Vangelis is now. Thanks for going on that ride with me, folks. That was fun. All right, let's talk about Nimrod. So what kind of music do you think Nimrod listens to? So Nimrod, being an advanced sentinel from the future, might not have personal preferences for music in the same way humans do. However, if we were to imagine Nimrod might be drawn to music that reflects the dark and dystopian future he comes from. Industrial or dark ambient music with eerie and haunting tones could evoke the desolate and oppressive world he originates from. So Nimrod listens to music to remind him of home, is what I'm picking out of that. Let's ask him about the band. So what bands / musicians would best represent what Nimrod likes to listen to. For Nimrod, number 1, Gary Newman of Cars fame. With his pioneering electronic music and themes of dystopia, Gary Newman's music would be fitting for Nimrod's origins. Frontline Assembly. Let's stop. Got to stop and listen to this one. But I'll read this first. Frontline Assembly. The industrial and cyberpunk sound of Frontline Assembly might capture the essence of Nimrod's dark and futuristic world. Frontline Assembly. Folks, another artist that I have never heard of. Oh my. So their most popular song on Spotify is Deadened, which has about 2 million listens. Oh, wow. Let's just take a listen. See if there's anything else that's a little bit more popular. No, that's their most popular. Let's listen to this and I'm going to give you my thoughts. Looks like it's off of the album Technogenetic. That's apt. When did this album come out? 2013? No. Oh, I'm sorry. I read that wrong. It's Echogenetic. So it's off of the album Echogenetic. Oh, yeah. Frontline Assembly. Oh, wow. Okay. This is some club music right here. There is a rave happening. Frontline Assembly, better or known as FLA, is a Canadian electro-industrial band formed by Bill Lieb in 1986 after leaving Skinny Puppy. Wow. This is good. I like that. Wow. That's crazy. All right. The Prodigy. We all know that one, Firestarter. Nimrod might resonate with the Prodigy's intense and aggressive electronic sound, mirroring his relentless pursuit of mutants. And then Skinny Puppy, we just referenced that with Frontline Assembly, and I had not listened to Skinny Puppy before. Known for their experimental and dark industrial music, Skinny Puppy's sound could evoke the desolate future Nimrod comes from. So yes, Nimrod's Homesick. If you went into Nimrod's MySpace page, Frontline Assembly would be the song that you'd have to listen to in order to look over his stuff. Wow. Folks, we have done it. It's so strange to sit here and think of this concept of artificial intelligence and what I just did. I mean, when you look at what I just did, some people may look at it as like part of the problem. And what I mean is I just produced content without a live guest and did nothing but read responses from artificial intelligence. Prior to this, I could understand, some people may actually have a problem with me doing that because the only thing I had to do was come up with questions and entertain you by reading responses from artificial intelligence. One thing we can both agree on is that artificial intelligence is going to make life easier at this time if you embrace it and use it as a tool. But I think we can also agree on the fact that, like Ultron, like Nimrod, AI's creation and existence is going to have a massive impact on humanity. We are just going to have to be diligent in making sure boundaries are set and we take responsibility for our actions. Folks, go check out the rest of the Superblog team up that's out there. This was a great event. It's celebrating 60 years of Avengers and X-Men. I'll plug one other show, and that is my show with Evan that we did where he and I sat down and we did a Snap material where we played the mobile game, Marvel Snap, and had a friendly battle on air where he took the West Coast Avengers and I took X-Force, created our decks, and battled it out. And you might be saying, why didn't you guys just do Avengers versus X-Men? And I'll tell you, we already did it. We had to take that concept a little bit further. And we had a good time. But yes, go to Twitter, type in hashtag SBTU. You should be able to find all of the great content that's getting aired/published today. And I want to thank you. Hope you guys come back soon. Have a good one. Bye-bye. Thanks for joining us. All of this would not be possible without W2Mnet.com, so make sure to seek them out for more podcasts. If you enjoyed what you heard today, please feel free to share, and we look forward to entertaining you again soon.